There's a silent trap many of us fall into, believing that peace with everyone is a sign of maturity. But Machiavelli would call that naive. Let me ask you this. Would you shake hands with someone holding a knife behind their back just to appear noble? Because that's exactly what you do when you try to make peace with the wrong kind of people. Machiavelli once wrote, "A wise man should never suffer wrongs without vengeance." That doesn't mean you need to be violent or cruel. It means you must protect your power, your mind, and your energy. Because some people don't want peace. They want control, leverage, or revenge. And when you offer peace to the wrong person, they don't see strength. They see opportunity, a weakness to exploit, a chance to strike again, this time with your guard down. In this video, we'll explore 8 types of people you should never seek peace from. These aren't just toxic personalities, they are psychological traps. Some will guilt you into silence, some will pretend to forgive only to sharpen the blade, and some will smile while watching you bleed internally, just so they can feel morally superior. Machiavelli warned that appearances matter more than intentions. Some people only want to make peace because it looks good, not because they've changed. That's not healing, that's public relations. So if you've ever apologized just to keep the peace, if you've ever let something go even though it kept eating you inside, or if you've ever been told you're the bad person for finally saying enough, this video is for you. Before we dive in, I want to know, have you ever made peace with someone who used it against you later? Drop it in the comments and tell your story. Who was it? What happened? What did you learn? Your story might be the wake-up call someone else needs right now. And if you're ready to stop making peace with people who only offer pain, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's dive deep. Let's get Machiavellian. Let's protect your mind. Now, let's meet the 8. Number 1. The manipulator disguised as the victim. There are people who twist every event, every slight, every consequence into a narrative that makes them the eternal victim. At first, they appear wounded, misunderstood, and deserving of compassion. But when you attempt to make peace with them, you unknowingly enter their theater, a production where your empathy becomes the next prop. Machiavelli warned that men are driven by 2 principal impulses, either by love or by fear. The manipulative victim knows this and exploits your desire to be loved, to be seen as morally good. When you seek peace from someone who constantly plays the victim, you become entangled in a game of moral leverage. You apologize more than you should. You doubt your own intentions. Slowly, the truth becomes inverted. You are no longer wrong for what you did. These people aren't looking for resolution. They are looking for power disguised as pity. They are addicted to emotional leverage and thrive when you lower your defenses. Machiavelli would caution that peace is not inherently virtuous if it weakens your position. Making peace with someone who feeds on guilt isn't noble. It's a strategic error. In their world, peace is a tool to restore their control, not mutual understanding. Your apology becomes a confession, and your reconciliation becomes submission. They win not by strength, but by staging themselves as too broken to be blamed. Let them go to war with their illusions. Do not disarm yourself to satisfy the appetite of someone who sees every conflict as a chance to reframe their weakness as your cruelty. There is no end to their victimhood, only a growing vacuum that swallows your sanity. Machiavellian wisdom teaches, never seek peace where there is no intent for balance, only a hunger for psychological dominance. Number 2, the passive-aggressive pretender. There's a type of person who never confronts directly, yet constantly undermines indirectly. Their language is soft, their tone sweet, their posture innocent, but their words leave scars. They disguise insults as jokes, critiques as concern, and sabotage as forgetfulness. Machiavelli observed that some enemies are more dangerous not because of their strength, but because of their cunning. The passive-aggressive person thrives in ambiguity. They are too clever to strike openly, too cowardly to admit hostility. To seek peace with them is to enter a loop of confusion. You address the problem and they deny it. You try to clarify and they gaslight you. You offer peace and they agree, but then immediately resume their covert hostilities. You leave every conversation feeling unsettled, unsure if you're too sensitive or they're too subtle. Machiavelli might call them a silent usurper. They steal your emotional clarity by denying you direct conflict, forcing you to fight in shadows. These individuals drain your energy not through dramatic confrontation, but through psychological erosion. These individuals drain your energy not through dramatic confrontation, but through psychological erosion. They never take accountability, yet they make you question yours. You end up apologizing for things you barely remember doing, simply to stop the tension you can't name. This is the trap. They maintain power through plausible deniability, forcing you to either tolerate disrespect or look irrational. Never seek peace with a person who uses ambiguity as a weapon. Machiavelli would remind us, it is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. But the passive-aggressive seeks to be neither. They seek to be unassailable. Do not reward their silence with reconciliation, force them into clarity, or remove yourself. They can only manipulate what stays to play. Number 3, the chronic betrayer. Some people betray not because they must, but because it is simply in their nature. They can't keep secrets, they break trust casually, they sabotage opportunities out of envy. And yet, they always return, claiming to be sorry, claiming to have changed. Machiavelli knew that trust is the highest currency in power, and once lost, it should not be cheaply restored. He who is the cause of another becoming powerful is ruined, he warned, especially when that other is a snake. To forgive once is human. To forgive twice may be noble. But to repeatedly seek peace with a person who shows a pattern of disloyalty is a form of self-betrayal. Betrayal isn't just a moral failure, it's a strategic breach. When someone exposes your weaknesses, shares your secrets, or undercuts your ambitions, they are not simply harming your feelings, they are weakening your position in the world. Chronic betrayers always mask their disloyalty with emotion. They were hurt, they were confused, they were desperate, but these are not reasons, they are tactics. They use empathy to disarm suspicion. They rely on your idealism, your belief that people can change. But a Machiavellian mind sees patterns, not promises. If betrayal serves them once, they will do it again, because you showed them it works. Do not seek peace from those who thrive in duplicity. Keep them at arm's length or cut them off entirely. A person who betrays you more than once isn't a friend with flaws. They are a strategist without ethics. Machiavelli would urge, control the damage and never hand them the sword again. Number 4, the morally superior martyr. There is a dangerous type of person who always needs to be right. Their identity is built around the moral high ground. They cannot be questioned, only admired or resisted. If you disagree with them, you're not just wrong, you're evil, ignorant, or broken. Machiavelli might call them ideologues, the most dangerous type of ruler, because they believe their vision is synonymous with virtue. When you seek peace from someone who sees themselves as morally superior, you lose before the conversation begins. Why? Because their forgiveness becomes a favor. They condescend, not reconcile. They expect you to confess, not converse. Their peace is conditional upon your self-denial. You are not negotiating terms, you are begging for grace. These individuals wield shame like a weapon. They quote ethics, but twist them into a bludgeon. They don't just want an apology, they want your conversion. They want you to internalize their worldview, accept their values, and align with their narrative. To disagree is to be cast out. To make peace is to surrender your independent thinking. Machiavelli teaches that politics and power are not governed by morality, but by outcomes. When you entangle yourself with a moral narcissist, you lose control of your own ethical compass. Their approval becomes your prison. Peace in their world is submission disguised as virtue. Walk away. You don't need to make peace with someone who demands you become someone else in order to deserve it. Number 5. The power-hungry pretender. Beware of those who pretend to be allies while secretly lusting for your position. They smile in your face, cheer your wins, and applaud your strengths. But underneath, they are calculating. Their peace is a temporary truce, a momentary ceasefire until they find the right angle to dethrone you. Machiavelli spoke clearly. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. These people believe that dominance is a game and everyone is a pawn. They don't reconcile because they value connection. They reconcile to study you closer, to keep you within reach, to learn your routines and extract your weaknesses. Every peace talk is reconnaissance. Every forgiveness is a pause for strategy. You think you've resolved the issue, but they've simply reloaded. When you make peace with a power-hungry pretender, you invite a parasite into your circle. They don't destroy with one blow. They drain you slowly. They align themselves with others behind your back. They plant doubts. They twist your words subtly in public. And one day, they make a move while you're still blinded by the illusion of loyalty. Machiavelli taught us to study men's actions, not their words. If someone has a history of maneuvering for status, shifting alliances, or exploiting trust, do not seek peace. Seek distance. Their agenda is not reconciliation, it is conquest. And if you offer peace too soon, you become an accomplice in your own dethroning. Number 6, the emotional addict. There are people who thrive in chaos, not because they want drama, but because emotional volatility is their identity. They oscillate between affection and attack, love and loathing, praise and punishment. These are the people who always have a crisis, always need to talk, always stir something up when things are calm. To seek peace from them is like trying to hug a hurricane. They don't want peace, they want stimulation. Machiavelli might call them unstable allies, dangerous not because of treachery, but because of unpredictability. Peace, for them, is boring. They only feel alive when something is wrong. When you try to make peace, they'll accept it for a moment and then subconsciously create a new problem to reset the pattern. Emotional addiction doesn't crave harmony, it craves intensity. When you stay in their orbit, your nervous system pays the price. You learn to walk on eggshells, anticipate their moods, and manage their storms. Peace becomes a short break before the next emotional ambush. Over time, you lose your center. You start reacting, over-explaining, fixing things that shouldn't be broken. You become addicted to the same drama you claim to hate. Machiavellian strategy is built on control. Emotional addicts destroy control by making you reactive. Never seek peace from someone who is addicted to chaos. They will only escalate. Protect your energy and exit their emotional theater. Let them battle their own storms. You are not their therapist, nor their punching bag. Peace is not possible where volatility is the fuel. Number 7, the resentful underdog. They watch you win and call it luck. They listen to your ideas politely, but behind their eyes is a quiet envy. They are the underdog who never admits their resentment, but it leaks in sarcasm, in subtle jabs, in moments of passive sabotage. Machiavelli understood that resentment breeds betrayal. Injuries must be inflicted all at once, he wrote. Benefits should be granted little by little. The underdog who collects injuries over time will one day return them all at once. This person doesn't attack directly because they fear confrontation. Instead, they accumulate a ledger of perceived slights. You get a promotion, they feel overlooked. You get attention, they feel invisible. You try to make peace, to be generous, and it only deepens their shame. Your success reminds them of their stagnation. Your kindness feels like condescension. Making peace with a resentful person doesn't remove the resentment, it intensifies it. They interpret it as pity, as weakness, as proof that you see yourself above them. They won't admit it, but they'll begin to undermine you quietly. They'll delay, distract, withhold support, sabotage by inaction. They don't need to defeat you, they just need to slow you down. Machiavelli would say, keep such people close enough to observe, but far enough to prevent harm. Do not seek emotional resolution with someone whose identity is tied to your failure. You cannot heal resentment they are unwilling to own. Let them battle their inferiority on their own terms. You don't owe peace to someone who sees you as a symbol of everything they're not. Number 8, the narcissistic peacemaker. Finally, beware of the person who always insists on peace, but only on their terms. They present themselves as champions of unity, healers of division, and wise mediators. Yet if you look closely, their version of peace always has one condition: they must be at the center of it. Their voice sets the boundaries. Their definition shapes the outcome. They are not peacemakers in the true sense, but managers of appearances. They want harmony, yes, but only if it casts them as the enlightened, compassionate leader. These are the false peacemakers, the narcissists who preach healing but demand ownership of the process. They quote forgiveness but deny accountability. They call for reconciliation but insist on framing the terms. In truth, their desire is not to build peace, but to craft an image of themselves as magnanimous, merciful, morally superior. Peace is not their goal. Reputation is. Machiavelli saw through this centuries ago. The appearance of virtue is more important than virtue itself, he wrote. And this is exactly the creed of the narcissistic peacemaker. They crave the optics of benevolence without enduring its costs. Genuine peace requires humility, compromise, and vulnerability. But to the narcissist, those things are weaknesses. What they want is the performance of virtue, the applause that comes from being seen as the bigger person, the wiser voice, the one who rose above while others wallowed in pettiness. Their peace is theater, a stage carefully designed to spotlight their grace while minimizing yours. You are cast in the supporting role. Your job is to appear grateful, penitent, or relieved. You are expected to validate their superiority by conceding, apologizing, or suppressing your own instincts. And if you resist, then you are accused of being bitter, divisive, or immature. The trap is simple. To refuse their terms makes you look small. To accept them makes you feel small. Either way, they come out looking large. That unease you feel in such resolutions is not imaginary. You walk away telling yourself, it's good to forgive. It's good to move on. Yet deep down, something is unsettled. You did not meet as equals. You did not both compromise. Instead, you bent while they stood taller. What you experienced was not peace. It was psychological optics, ego management dressed up as maturity. Machiavelli would recognize such people immediately. They are rulers of perception, empire builders in robes of diplomacy. Their goal is not the restoration of balance, but the consolidation of image. And if peace requires you to flatter someone's ego, perform false humility, or silence your gut, then it is not peace at all. It is propaganda. The wisest course is not negotiation, but withdrawal. Better silence than surrender. Because not all unity is noble. Not all peacemakers are virtuous. Some wield the banner of reconciliation the way emperors once wielded crowns, as symbols of power, not instruments of healing. To join in their peace is to feed their empire. In a world that glorifies harmony, we often forget that not all peace is created equal. Extending an olive branch can sometimes be an act of strength, but other times it is the quiet surrender of your dignity, your clarity, and your power. The manipulator disguised as a victim. The martyr cloaked in moral superiority. The pretender hungry for control. Each uses peace not as a bridge, but as bait. Machiavelli never romanticized human nature. He understood that behind every virtue lies a possible strategy, and behind every call for peace, a potential trap. Some people do not seek resolution. They seek advantage. They do not want understanding. They want submission. So if you've recognized these patterns in your own life, it's time for a hard question. Am I making peace, or am I being played? Real peace empowers both sides. False peace disarms one. Real reconciliation restores dignity to everyone involved. False reconciliation assigns dignity to one and diminishes the other. Do not be guilted into surrender. Do not mistake manipulation for maturity. And never apologize simply to silence someone else's discomfort. Sometimes the most strategic act is not to fix the relationship, but to end the game. Let them fight with their illusions. Let them polish their image in their own mirror. You, however, walk away intact, with your clarity, your strength, and your dignity preserved. Machiavellian wisdom was never about cruelty. It was about survival with your mind and honor unbroken. To live by it is to remember, peace that costs you your power is not peace worth keeping.